Can I ask you something honest? When things start going wrong in your life, what's the first place your mind goes? A deal falls through, a relationship gets strained, the launch just doesn't hit, or the diagnosis comes back unexpected, revenue drops, and almost immediately, before you've even had time to breathe, there's a voice. And that voice has a question. What did I do wrong? Maybe it's blame directed inward. Maybe it's blame directed at someone else. But something in us is wired to find a cause, a culprit, a reason. Because if we can find the reason, then we think we can fix it. And if we find who's at fault, well, we can at least make sense of the pain. But what if the problem isn't what you think it is? And what if the point isn't what you think it is either? There's a moment in John chapter 9 that I just can't stop thinking about. But Jesus and his disciples are walking along and they encounter a man who has been blind since birth. And the disciples, they do what we all do. They immediately go looking for someone to blame. They turn to Jesus and they ask him, who sinned? Was it this man or his parents that he was born blind? Now listen, that question makes sense to them. In their culture, suffering meant that someone messed up. Blindness meant that someone was being punished. So they weren't asking to be cruel. They genuinely believed that pain had to have a culprit. Maybe that sounds familiar to you. But watch what Jesus does. He doesn't take the bait. He doesn't play that blame game. He doesn't audit the man's past or his parents' record. In fact, he completely redirects the question. He says, neither this man nor his parents sinned. This happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. Now listen to that again slowly. Jesus looked at a situation that had lasted a lifetime. Years of darkness, years of limitation, years of people walking past and assuming this man had done something to deserve it. And he said, this is actually a setup. And Jesus wasn't looking backwards trying to find fault. He was already looking forward to the glory. I want to tell you about my niece, Harper, because this isn't just theology for me. This is something I watched happen in my own family. A few years ago, Harper drowned in my parents' pool. She went without oxygen for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Now, if you know anything about medicine, you know what the doctors were saying. The situation looked devastating. It looked like the kind of thing families don't come back from. And the enemy knew exactly what to do with that moment. Because when something that terrible happens, the first thing the enemy tries to do is hand everyone in the room a name tag, a label, responsible. And he wanted someone to wear that name tag. He wanted my family pointing fingers at each other. He wanted grief to curdle into guilt, and guilt to curdle into division. Because a family divided in the middle of a miracle can't fully receive what God is about to do. That's how the enemy operates. He uses your worst moment to start a trial. He puts everyone on the stand. He wants the question to be, who's to blame? Because as long as you're answering that question, then you're not watching for what God is doing. But God had a different plan for Harper's story, and she recovered miraculously in a way that the doctors couldn't fully explain, and that our family will never stop talking about. And the reach of that miracle, the number of people who heard what God did, the lives that were touched, the faith that was sparked, the people who looked at Harper and said, oh my, there's got to be a God. It was far beyond anything our family could have manufactured on our own. See, the enemy wanted to use that moment to destroy a family, but God used it to display his glory to thousands of people. Same situation, two completely different interpretations. And the difference wasn't the circumstance, it was the lens. Now here's what I want you to understand. When things go sideways in your life or your business, there are two voices competing for your attention. The first voice, the enemy's voice, wants to pull you into a courtroom, wants you on trial. It wants you reviewing every decision, every mistake, every moment where you could have done something better. It wants you pointing fingers at yourself or at the people around you. You failed. You're not enough. You should have seen this coming. It's your fault. or it's their fault. But there's another voice. And that voice isn't looking at what went wrong. That voice is already planning what comes next. That voice says, look, this isn't a punishment. This is a platform. This isn't the end of the story. This is the scene right before the miracle. I want to give you the framework. Let's call it the glory setup. The glory setup is simply this. Your hardest seasons aren't evidence that God abandoned you. They're often the exact conditions God uses to reveal himself in ways that would be impossible any other way. Harper couldn't have been a healing testimony without first being in that pool. The blind man couldn't have a healing testimony without first being blind. The setup has to come before the show. Let me make this real for wherever you're standing right now. Maybe you're in business and you just lost a big client, or you launched something and it flopped. And the enemy whispers, see, you were never cut out for this. Well, here's the reframe. God may be repositioning you for a client, a season, or a level of impact that the version of you from 6 months ago couldn't have handled. The closed door isn't rejection, it's a redirection. Or maybe a relationship or a partnership just fell apart. A friendship ended, or a team member left. A collaboration dissolved and the voice says, you're too much for people, you're not enough, you push people away. Well, here's the reframe. God is a good father, and sometimes he removes from your next season what couldn't survive it. What felt like loss was actually protection. Maybe you're walking through something physical, a health struggle, burnout, a diagnosis that just came out of nowhere, and the question creeps in, did I cause this? Is this on me? Here's the reframe. Your testimony in this moment, the way you keep your faith when it's hard, the way you trust God when it doesn't make sense, that is the miracle someone else is waiting to witness. And your story isn't just for you. And maybe it's something deeper. Maybe you're spiritually dry right now. Prayers feel like they're bouncing off the ceiling. You're doing everything right and nothing seems to be moving. And you wonder, is God even listening? Well, here's the reframe. You are in the gap between the promise and the provision. In that gap, that space of waiting and trusting and holding on, that's not where faith goes to die. That's where faith is forged. Here's what gets me about John chapter 9. The blind man didn't get healed because he had perfect theology. He didn't get healed because he finally figured out why he was blind. He didn't understand the whole plan. He just stayed where he was, and Jesus showed up. My family didn't fully understand what God was doing in those terrifying hours after Harper's accident. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have answers. We just held on to each other and held on to God. And Jesus showed up. You don't have to solve the why in order to receive the miracle. You just have to stay open to the who. Stop trying to prosecute your own story. Stop looking for someone to put on trial. Lift your eyes up and say, God, I don't understand this, but I trust that you're about to get glory from this situation. That shift from blame to belief is the most powerful move you can make right now. I want you to do something right now. Drop a comment below in the comment section. Finish this sentence. God is going to get glory in my situation by, and then fill in the blank. Speak it out. Declare it before you see it happening. And let's build a wall of faith in this comment section, because somebody scrolling through is going to read your declaration today, and they're going to need that. Harper's miracle reached more people than we'll ever know this side of heaven. Your declaration in that comment section, it might do the same. Don't hold it back. And if this resonates with you, you're ready for the deeper work. Go to lifeunleashedlive.com and check out my video on how to end stress and attract anything you want from life. I'll walk you through the full framework that takes everything we talked about today and puts it into motion. Listen, the disciples looked at the blind man and they saw a problem. But Jesus looked at the blind man and he saw a platform. You get to choose which lens you pick up today. So choose well. And I'll see you in the next video.